All right, so then we're going to move into graphing some lines here because it's a concept that is going to come back at different points in time in this class. All right, so we have a few different forms a line may be in. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. It's all just a matter of what it is set up for. So standard form is set up to find your x and y intercepts. Slope intercept form is to find your slope and your y intercept. Point slope form is set up to find your slope and a point. All right, an x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. And your y-intercept is going to be where the line crosses the y-axis. All right, so how are we going to graph a line? Well, there's a few options. This is what we have. 3x minus 5y equals 15. So this is set up for our intercepts. It's in standard form, so the easiest way is to find our intercepts. So intercepts are in the form of this, x comma 0 or 0 comma y. You're finding the other variable when 1 is 0. So if I were to plug in 0 for x, it basically just makes this piece go away, right? Because anything times 0 is 0. So then all I'm left with is negative 5y equals 15. Okay, if I divide then by negative 5, y is negative 3. So that means my graph is going to cross down here at negative 3. And then I can do the same thing solving for the x piece. So if I go back here, 3x minus 5y equals 15. And in this time, I make y 0, then the y piece goes away. And I'm just left with 3x equals 15. Divide by 3, this is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any line, all you need is 2 points, and then you can draw the line between the 2 points, and you are done. If something was in this form, so let's say we had y equals 1/2 x plus 2. Let's say that was our line. Okay, so this is the y-intercept on the end. So that's where I'm going to start on the y-axis. Up at 2. And then it gives me a slope of 1/2. Your slope is always how much you go up, and then how up or down, sorry, and then how much you move to the right. So 1 over 2 means I'm going to go up 1 over 2. And then my line would look like that. You guys remember doing this back in algebra? Hopefully. Another option is I could turn this into y equals form. It's more work, but if you wanted to, you would subtract the x piece over to the other side. Negative 5y equals 15 minus 3x. And then I would divide everything through by negative 5. So y equals negative 3 plus 3/5 x. And that's going to actually give me that same 2 points. Start down here at negative 3 and then go up 3 over 5. Gives me that other point. Same exact line. So kind of preference as to how you want to do this. We can also have vertical lines and horizontal lines. So vertical lines will always be in the form x equals a number, like x equals 7. Horizontal lines will be in the form y equals a number. So let's say y equals negative 2. Okay, so if I have a vertical line, you're just going to find the x value, 4, 5, 6, 7, that it goes through, and draw yourself your vertical line. Horizontal line is just that, a horizontal line through the value of the y of negative 2 in this case. So I find negative 2, and then I draw my horizontal line. Oops, somehow I got a double negative on there. Less bright. Is it already down? Here we go. See if that helps. Nope, that way. There we go. All right, next thing we'll do is calculate slope between 2 points. So slope is a ratio of the change in y to the change in x. You may have called it, heard it called the rise over the run. How much y is changing with respect to how much x is changing. And we have a formula for that, which is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so if I have 2 points, negative 1, 5, and 1, negative 2. Anytime I'm going to solve these, I label the first one x1, y1, and the second point x2, y2. And then all I have to do is plug their corresponding numbers in the spot of the formula. Okay, so it says start with y2, so negative 2, minus y1 is 5, over, oops, sorry, x2 is 1, minus x1, negative 1. So I always like to label just because it makes it easier when I'm plugging it into a formula. And then all I have to do is simplify here. So negative 2 minus 5 is negative 7. 1 minus negative 1 actually turns into 1 plus 1 is 2. And I'm done. Negative 7 over 2 does not simplify or reduce. So there's my slope. That slope tells me between two corresponding points, nice points, I would go down 7 and then right 2. And then go down 7 and right 2. Right? Next pair, 2, 4 and 0, 4. So I'll do the same thing. Label them x1, y1, x2, y2, and then I'm just going to plug them into that formula here. So y2 is 4 minus y1 is 4 over x2 is 0 minus x1, 2. So 4 minus 4 over 0 minus 2. So 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. So the slope for this one is 0. A horizontal line has a slope of 0. A slope of 0 means there's no incline. That is the floor you walked on to get here. There is no incline to this floor. Okay? So your slope is a measure of the incline or decline. If it is flat, it's a slope of 0. All right, last one here, 1, 7 and 1, 3. So x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'll do the work up here again, just because I know sometimes for my people in the back, it's hard to see if I start writing down here, it gets a little tough to see sometimes. All right, so let's see, that's gonna be 3 minus 7 over 1 minus 1. So 3 minus 7 is negative 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. Negative 4 divided by 0 is undefined. Now, here is one of those parts where I go back and say why this is true. Okay, if your goal was to figure out the answer here. So let's say we want to know what is negative 4 divided by 0 is some answer, correct? My goal is to figure out what that answer is. Would you agree that based on what we know about operations, if I'm dividing this side by 0, could I undo that by multiplying both sides by 0? Is that possible? Yes. Okay, so if this side says divide by 0, I could instead multiply both sides by 0 to cancel out the 0 on this side, right? So then that's giving me negative 4 equals x times 0. Well, what is x times 0? 0. And I get a statement that says negative 4 equals 0. Is that true? No, it's a false statement. So when we get that false statement in math, we define it as undefined because it's not true. Cool. Were you ever showed that? Anybody ever actually shown that? Ashley or Emily, you were? Cool. So anytime I can go back and show you the why to help it make a little more sense, I will do that. Okay, we may have to write some equations. And depending on what we are given, we'll determine which of the forms we will use. So if it says write an equation of a line with a slope of 2/3, that's our M, and a y-intercept of negative 4, that's our B, I can just go y equals mx plus b form. So depending on what you have is the form you use. So if I have slope and intercept, I'm going to use slope and intercept form and just plug them in. So y equals 2/3 x. And then you can either write this as plus -4 or just -4. Either one is equivalent. Okay, next one says, write the equation of a line through the point 1, 3 with the slope of 2. So this one gives me a point and a slope. So any point I have, I will label as x1, y1, and your slope is always m. And then we have a point slope form, y minus y1 equals m, open parentheses, x minus x1. Okay, we have values for x1, y1, and m. So y minus y1 is 3 equals m is 2, open parentheses, x minus, and x1 is 1. And you are free to stop there. Unless your homework, if Pearson specifically says like, hey, it must be in a specific form, like if they say, okay, it must be then written in this form back here, you would do workout. So if it said put it in slope intercept form when you're done, we would do a little bit of work here. Let's see, y minus 3 equals 2x minus 2. And then I would add 3 to both sides. So an equivalent form is y equals 2x plus 1. So generally on like a test or quiz, I let you stop here. I don't force you to go further. It's just know that if the homework says to go further, make sure you go to the form it says. I see a few pencils still going, so I'll give it a second. All right. Write the equation with a slope of a half and a y sorry. Do you want to see another one like the previous two? Are you okay with these? This was an extra set of examples if we needed them. I added them in for some reason. I don't even have them on my original notes here. Good? Okay. All right, then last one here, write the equation of the line through 2 points. So 2, -3, and 4, 3. So we have a point and another point. We must get the slope. So x1, y1, x2, y2. The first thing I'm going to do is find my slope. Taking y2 minus y1. So 3, minus -3. And then x2 minus x1. So 4 minus 2. Okay, subtracting a negative, 2 negatives make a positive. So what is that? 6 over 4 minus 2 is 2. Hey, we got one that reduces. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And just remember, if you ever get a whole number, that is 3 over 1. So you always move over. So if the slope is 3, you're not just moving up 3 and putting a point. It's up 3 over 1. Okay, so now I have slope and I have my point, and then I can go to my point slope form. So y minus -3 equals 3, open parentheses, x minus 2. So I filled in y1, m, and x1. I realized I forgot to say something a few slides back, so I will go back and do that quick once you're done with this. Okay, so it's back here on the slope page. So we have a positive slope. I always read from left to right. Okay, so if I was a person at the base here, I'm going on an incline. This one is a decline, a negative slope. We said horizontal lines are here. I can walk along a flat line here, a slope of 0. Okay. If I come to the wall, can I climb the wall? No. Okay. I can't do that unless I have special tools or I'm Spider-Man or, right? I can't climb this. It's undefined. So I used to teach high school. This is why I go back and I draw little images and try to, for my visual people, just show you another way to think about it. Right? We have 2 application problems and then we are done for today. So Thursdays are usually the shorter of the 2 days. All right. It says a donut shop has fixed costs of $124 a day and variable costs of 12 cents per donut. Write an equation for the total daily costs producing X donuts. So I'm going to stop there and we're going to do that part. So if you remember, we said the cost equation is fixed plus variable times X. So my cost equation is then going to be what? 124 plus 12 cents X. Beautiful. All right, so we did the first part. Then solve for how many donuts would produce a daily cost of $250. So we have the cost is $250 and we want to know how many donuts X there are. So where am I going to put that $250? In for C? Equals 124 plus 12 cents X. And then we just solve it, right? So subtract 124. What is that, 126? Equals 12 cents X. And if I divide by 12 cents, you would just grab a calculator. You'll get 1,050 equals X. So 1,050 donuts. Right, last problem. A clothing store sells a shirt for $20. Sorry, a shirt costing $20. So it costs them $20. They sell it for $33. And a jacket that costs them $60, they sell for $93. Assuming markup is linear, write the equation to represent the markup. And then we'll do the next part here. Okay, so what we have is we have the cost to them and then the corresponding sale price. So my shirt, it cost $20, but I put it on sale for $33. So I'm going to create a point to represent that relationship. And then I can do the same thing with the jacket, right? It costs $60, then I'm going to sell it for $93. And it says we're creating a line between these 2 points. We want to make the line. So if we have 2 points, our first step is to find the slope. So let's see, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. y2 minus y1, so 93 minus 33 over x2 minus x1, that's 60 minus 20. So that is a difference of $60 on top, a difference of $40 on bottom. Drop the 0, 6 over 4, they're both still even. So divide them both by 2 3/2. Okay, then I can write my equation, right? I have my point here, x1, y1, and my slope. So y minus 33 equals 3/2 x minus 20. All right, so then the question is, so right now cost is X and what they list it for, the sale price is Y. It says, what did the store pay for a suit that they list at $240? Is $240 going to be the X or the Y value? The Y. You are correct. So my goal is what X gives me a Y of 240. That's not what I wanted to click. There we go. So I'm going to plug that in here. So 240 minus 33 equals 3/2 x minus 20. The problem says, what did the store pay for a suit? So what was the cost to them if they listed it at 240? So that means the sale price that they're listing it for is 240, and that's a Y value. Thank you for not being afraid to ask a question. I'm gonna make it. I got 17 minutes on my battery. All right, so let's see, 240 minus 33 is 207 equals, all right, let's see if I multiply this out here. 3/2 x, 3 times 20 is 60. 60 divided by 2 is 30. Okay. So then I'm going to add 30 to both sides. 237 equals 3/2 x. Now, I have to get rid of a 3/2. So if I'm going to do this and I divide by 3/2 and you're using a calculator, you have to make sure you type this correctly. This is 237 divided by, in parentheses, the fraction 3/2. You cannot just write 237 divided by 3 divided by 2. It will not work. You will not get the correct answer because what the calculator is going to do is it's going to divide by 3 and then it's going to divide by 2 rather than dividing by the whole fraction of 3/2. Okay, so any calculator you're using, I have on my phone, I have a Mach TI 84. Did any of you guys use like the 84? So it's a free version. It is called Calculate 84 is what I have on my Calculate 84. It's blue with like a calculator and then a little like graph through it. There's this calculator with a screen. So if you want to grab it, that's cool. So that's exactly how I typed it. Otherwise, just make sure, like if you're using the basic calculator on your phone, you turn it sideways to enter into scientific mode so that you can get all the other stuff, get all the tools and everything. I will also show you, eventually we'll use like Desmos. So you can open up Desmos on your computer and use that. Just type it exactly like you see here. You should get an answer of 158. So the other option would have been, if you remember from algebra, we don't like to think about dividing by fractions. Instead, we multiply by the reciprocal. So you could have done that as 237 times the fraction 2/3. And then that would work nicely, whatever calculator you have, because it's telling me to then multiply by 2 and then divide by 3. It's taking each part.